The house stood large and immaculate, yet it felt hollow, like a place holding its breath. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, settling gently on polished floors and carefully arranged furniture. Nothing was out of place. Nothing ever was. Ethan Hale liked it that way. Since his wife's death, order had become his armor. Every clock ticked on time. Every door closed softly. Every day followed a routine precise enough to keep grief from surprising him. Silence ruled the house, not because no one lived there, but because sound had never been part of its language. His twin daughters, Lily and Rose, sat at the dining table, their small hands moving swiftly as they signed to one another. Their expressions were bright, curious, alive. They were deaf from birth, but to Ethan, they were perfect, fragile treasures he guarded fiercely from a world he believed could not understand them. He watched them carefully, correcting posture, reminding them gently to finish homework, to wash hands, to be careful. Love, to Ethan, meant protection. And protection meant control. That was why he hired a maid. Maria arrived quietly one morning, her footsteps light, her presence unassuming. She was young, with warm eyes and a soft smile that seemed to linger even when she wasn't smiling. She didn't speak much, which Ethan appreciated. But she observed everything. On her first day, Ethan noticed how Maria knelt to the girls' level instead of towering over them. How she attempted simple signs, awkward but sincere. The twins stared at her with wide eyes, then burst into silent laughter when she signed, "Hello," incorrectly. Ethan almost smiled. Almost. Days passed. Maria cleaned, cooked, organized, but more than that, she connected. She learned quickly. She watched the girls' faces, their hands, their moods. She mirrored their expressions, exaggerated her reactions, and somehow made even chores feel lighter. Ethan told himself it was harmless. Still, something unsettled him. One afternoon, he came home earlier than usual. As he opened the front door, he sensed it immediately. Something was different. The air felt warmer, charged. The house didn't feel empty. He paused in the hallway. Then he saw them. Maria stood barefoot in the living room, sunlight outlining her figure. Her arms moved gracefully, her body swaying as if following an invisible rhythm. Her face was alive with emotion, joy, freedom, playfulness. Lily and Rose stood before her, copying her movements. Their small feet stomped gently against the floor. Their hands floated in the air. Their eyes sparkled. They were dancing. There was no music, no sound, yet the room felt full of it. Ethan's breath caught. His heart tightened painfully as a memory stirred, his wife laughing, spinning in the kitchen years ago. He had buried that memory deep. And now, here it was, rising uninvited. Maria suddenly noticed him. Her movement stopped. Fear flashed across her face as she rushed to sign apologies, explaining, panicking. Ethan lifted a hand, stopping her. His eyes returned to his daughters, smiling wider than he had ever seen. And in that moment, the silence he had built his life around cracked. Just a little. Ethan stood frozen in the doorway long after Maria stopped moving. The room felt strangely alive, as if an invisible echo still lingered in the air. His daughters turned toward him, their faces glowing, their hands already moving excitedly. "Did you see us?" Lily signed, bouncing slightly on her toes. "We were dancing," Rose added, placing both hands over her heart the way Maria had shown them. Ethan nodded slowly, searching for the right expression. His throat tightened. He had seen them smile before. Polite smiles, quiet smiles, but never like this. This was unrestrained joy, the kind that ignored rules and routines. Maria stood nervously nearby, twisting her fingers together. She signed quickly, her movements careful and respectful. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cross any boundaries. They were helping me clean, and I just..." Ethan raised his hand again. Not to silence her, but to steady the moment. "Why?" He signed simply. Maria hesitated, then stepped closer to the girls. She knelt so they were eye level and gently tapped the floor with her bare foot. The soft vibration traveled upward. The twins felt it instantly, eyes widening. "My mother was deaf," Maria signed slowly. "She taught me that music isn't something you hear. It's something you feel." She placed one hand over her chest, the other on the wooden floor. Then she moved. Just a small sway this time. The twins followed naturally, as if their bodies had been waiting for permission all along. Ethan watched, stunned. He had filled his daughters' lives with safety, lessons, structure, protection, but never once had he thought about rhythm. About joy without rules. About freedom that didn't need sound. Lily reached for Ethan's hand and pressed it against the floor. "Feel it," she signed eagerly. Reluctantly, he knelt. The wood was cool beneath his palm. Maria tapped her foot again, then clapped softly against her own arm, creating a pattern. Ethan felt it, faint at first, then clearer. A pulse, like a heartbeat. Something shifted inside him. Over the next days, he didn't stop them. Maria introduced simple rhythms, counting steps, feeling vibrations through movement, watching expressions instead of listening for cues. The twins began to move with confidence, their bodies expressing what their voices never could. They laughed more. They hugged him more. They slept deeper. One evening, Maria turned to Ethan and extended a hand. "Join us," she signed. He almost refused. Instead, he stepped forward. Awkward, stiff, uncertain. The twins giggled and pulled him closer. Maria guided his movements gently, patiently. And for the first time in years, Ethan let go of control. He didn't hear music, but he felt something he thought he had lost forever. Hope. The house had changed. Ethan noticed it in the smallest things. The way Lily and Rose raced down the hallway in the mornings, their feet stomping proudly against the floor. The way they tugged his hands after dinner, begging him to dance instead of watching television. The way laughter, silent but radiant, now lived in every corner of the home. And at the center of it all was Maria. She moved through the house like warmth itself, leaving light in her wake. The twins followed her everywhere, copying her gestures, her expressions, her joy. Ethan watched from a distance, pretending not to care too much. That illusion shattered the night he found an envelope on the kitchen counter. It was addressed to Maria. He hadn't meant to read it, but his eyes caught the words acceptance letter before he could stop himself. His chest tightened as he skimmed the page. A specialized institute, deaf education, expressive movement therapy, a dream. That evening, Maria stood in the living room with the twins, her smile soft but her eyes heavy. Ethan knew then, before a single sign was made. She knelt and took their hands. "I have something important to tell you," she signed carefully. Lily frowned. Rose leaned closer. "I'm going to school," Maria continued. "To help children like you. I won't live here anymore." The room froze. Lily's hands trembled. Rose's smile vanished. "No," Lily signed sharply. "You're our music," Rose added, tears filling her eyes. "Don't leave." Maria pulled them into her arms, holding them tightly. Silent tears slid down her cheeks. "You already have the music," she signed, pressing a gentle finger to their chests. "I just helped you find it." Ethan stood in the doorway, unable to move. He had lost his wife once. He had promised himself never again. Later that night, Ethan found Maria packing. Clothes folded neatly, shoes lined up, order, just like him. "You should go," he signed stiffly. "This is important." Maria looked at him, surprised. "I don't want to hurt them," she signed. "Are you?" That broke something in him. He signed slower this time, more honestly. "This house was silent because I made it that way," he admitted. "I thought protecting them meant keeping the world out." Maria stepped closer. She gently took his hand and placed it over his heart. "And now," she signed. Ethan swallowed. "Now I'm afraid of losing what we found." Maria smiled through tears. "Love always risks loss," she signed. "But it also gives life back." The twins appeared in the doorway, watching. Ethan knelt and pulled them close, holding them tighter than ever before. This time, he didn't turn away from the pain. He danced with it. The morning Maria left, the house felt heavier, but not empty. Sunlight still poured through the windows. The wooden floors still waited beneath bare feet. And though Lily and Rose stood quietly by the door, their hands folded together, there was a new steadiness in their eyes. Maria knelt one last time, hugging them close. She signed slowly, deliberately, as if sealing each word into their hearts. "Remember," she told them, "music lives here." She pressed her palm gently against the floor, then against their chests. "And here." Lily nodded bravely, though her lips trembled. Rose signed, "We'll keep dancing." Ethan watched, his chest tight, but he didn't look away. He had learned something important. Pain didn't erase love. It proved it had mattered. When the door closed behind Maria, the silence returned, but it was different now. It no longer pressed in. It waited. That evening, Ethan cleared the living room. He rolled back the rug and tapped the floor twice, just as Maria used to. Lily's eyes lit up instantly. "Dance," she signed. Ethan nodded. They stood together, 3 silhouettes bathed in golden light. Ethan counted with his fingers. 1, 2, 3. They moved, clumsy at first, laughing, out of sync, but the rhythm came naturally, guided by stomps, hand claps, and shared glances. The girls spun freely. Ethan followed, letting their joy lead him instead of the other way around. Weeks passed. Ethan installed softer wooden flooring that carried vibrations more clearly. He learned new signs, ones for joy, for rhythm, for again. The twins grew bolder, dancing even outside the house, unafraid of curious looks. Ethan no longer pulled them back. Then one afternoon, months later, there was a knock at the door. Lily felt the vibration first. She ran to the door and opened it. Maria stood there, older somehow, more confident. A certificate tucked under her arm. Her smile was familiar, but stronger. "I'm back," she signed. "If you'll have me." The twins leapt into her arms. Ethan stood behind them, emotion rising like a tide. He signed carefully, meaning every word. "This house still needs music." Maria's eyes filled with tears. She returned. Not as a maid, but as a therapist, a teacher, a part of their family. The house remained quiet, but it was alive, with movement, connection, and love that no longer feared silence. Because some music isn't heard, it's felt. Yellow Heart.